Take a look what was spotted in a very Republican enclave in Alabama. Vice President Kamala Harris 2024 signs that say we made the switch. Also, there was an Evangelicals for Harris Zoom meeting that took place on Wednesday night. Donald Trump voters are fleeing him. There is a mass exodus underway, a major realignment, and you know we've been covering that realignment now for the better part of the past 4 years. We've been highlighting your stories, the stories of former Republicans who left the party because the party left them, people who still maybe consider themselves Republicans but are mainstream Republicans who will not vote for Donald Trump because he ain't a real conservative. He ain't even a real Republican. He and the MAGA movement are a mutation of the Republican Party, or you can say they took over the Republican Party. So we've been sharing your stories. The Republican Voters Against Trump organization does a great job in sharing your story. So if you have a story like this, or a friend, family member, coworker, colleague, neighbor who has a story like this, share it in the comments below. At the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a message that I received directly as well through my Instagram account when I woke up early this morning, which touched my heart as well. I want to share this with you, though, first, from the Republicans Voters Against Trump. This is Chris, a former Trump voter, a 20-year retired soldier from the Army. Here's what he has to say. Play the clip.
There's just no way that I can support a man like Donald Trump, who mocked, disrespected, and denigrated every serviceman that has ever served this nation by calling them a sucker and a loser. My name is Chris. I'm a 20-year retired soldier from the Army. The reasons why I will not vote for Donald Trump is because he lost the election fair and square, and he would not accept that. And his actions after the election have torn this country apart, and that only benefits him and our adversaries. I have no problem whatsoever with supporting Vice President Harris in her bid now to be president. At the end of the day, once the election is over, I'm going to have to look at myself in the mirror, and I want to be able to feel good about myself and know that I did the right thing. There's just no way that I can support a man like Donald Trump, who mocked, disrespected, and denigrated every serviceman that has ever served this nation by calling them a sucker and a loser. He's a convicted felon. He's a convicted sexual predator. He's a serial adulterer. These are just character traits that I've never allowed myself to be associated with. I realize that the old kryptonite of hypocrisy that used to keep the GOP from supporting dishonorable candidates in the past, they've overcome that now. And they happily will reach down into the absolute bottom of the sewer to find their leader. I had no problem with supporting Joe Biden this time around, and now I have no problem supporting Kamala Harris either. I just can't do it. I just cannot support a man like that.
Here is Matt. Here's what Matt has to say about why he is no longer voting for Donald Trump after previously voting for him. Here, play this clip.
I have a problem with Donald Trump's destructive behavior on the psyche of America. My name's Matt. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a former Trump voter. The reason why I can't support Donald Trump is, I'm a proud Marine veteran. When Trump started attacking some of our American heroes like John McCain, that guy did more for our country than probably every other senator that has come before or after him. Donald Trump spits in the face of all that sacrifice, all the folks that served over the last 20 years in the global war on terror, and the veterans that came before us, that put their lives on the line, they put their family second for the betterment of our country. I have a problem with Donald Trump's destructive behavior on the psyche of America like that. It's the impact that those words have as the commander in chief. And Donald Trump has demonstrated that he's ill-equipped and unfit to be the commander in chief of our country. I'm a local Republican chairman for a small town out here in the Philadelphia suburbs. We keep losing, and we're losing for one reason, and that's Donald J. Trump. So I'm telling you with tears in my eyes, believe me, Donald Trump is a bad choice for president of the United States.
Take a look at what Jeff has to say, a former Trump voter who is now voting for Vice President Kamala Harris this year. Play the clip.
I will not let Trump and his cronies create a government that can tell my daughter and my granddaughter what they can and cannot do with their bodies or their lives. My name is Jeff. I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm a former Trump voter, and I will not be voting for Donald Trump in 2024. I walked away from Trump, especially after the insurrection on January 6th. And what does it say about a man who is going to defy the Constitution, to undo our democracy? Add to that the felony convictions, the stealing of documents, the fraud. All right, he's just corrupt to the core. Project 2025. If you've read anything about this group, you will realize it's completely misnamed. It should be called Project 1925 because they want to pervert the U.S. government and turn back the clock to the 1920s. Now, I will not let Trump and his cronies create a government that can tell my daughter and my granddaughter what they can and cannot do with their bodies or their lives. I won't have a government that sanctions discrimination toward my friends of color or different ethnic backgrounds. And I sure as hell won't let the government tell me or anyone else in this country what faith to follow or what to believe. So for all of these reasons, I will be voting for a Democrat for president. I will be voting for Kamala Harris. First time in my life I have ever voted for a Democrat for the president of the United States. It's not an easy decision, but it's not a hard decision either. Look at what Donald Trump is.
By the way, you all know Jeff Duncan, right? The former lieutenant governor of Georgia. He's one of the leaders of Republicans for Vice President Kamala Harris. And what he says is he's like, look, I just want my party back. I want normalcy. I want to do normal debates with Democrats, not this strange MAGA stuff. Here, play this clip.
I watched decisions be made behind the curtain by Donald Trump. I watched a cult be birthed. And I watched followers just walk off the deep end of the plank for Donald Trump. And so as this started to play out, not just in 2020, but even before, right? We got to see Donald Trump put pressure on us for how we reacted to COVID here against Governor Kemp and myself and several others in decisions that we were making. So I could kind of see this train wreck coming, but would have never have guessed it would have gotten as bad as it got in 2020 with the election. Look, I just want my party back. Right? Selfishly speaking, I'm supporting Kamala Harris because I think she's a steadier hand than Donald Trump will ever be. I think it will create an opportunity for us to have 4 years to heal and rebuild this party. I feel so strongly about it. I've even written a book. Many of you all have seen this. Nearly 4 years ago, I wrote this book, GOP 2.0. It played out what would happen if we didn't take our own medicine. And unfortunately, we're here. But thankfully, we actually have an alternative. We have a different solution. And although I don't agree with 100% of Kamala Harris's policies, we do agree on several policies. One is that Donald Trump can never, ever, ever be in charge of anything ever again in this country. And I think it's important for us to remind ourselves, just because we vote for Kamala Harris in 2024 doesn't mean we are Democrats. It just means we are patriots. We're doing our duty to be able to build this party back.
Hey, this is Ben Meiselas, co-founder of the MeidasTouch network, and I just wanted to take a brief break from that video to give you an update on our climate. A lot of you have been asking if I can provide these periodic updates, so here it goes. Climate Power put out a new report on August 14th, and it found that approximately 335,000 new clean energy-related jobs are on track to be created by over 600 manufacturing projects already launched or announced since August of 2022 under the Biden-Harris administration policies. You'll remember that date because that's when President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris signed the Inflation Reduction Act, which includes hundreds of billions of dollars to incentivize the manufacture and purchase of green energy technologies. Greg Sargent wrote about this in a recent report for the New Republic, and he talks about how all these climate manufacturing jobs are being created in the heartland of America, and it badly undermines one of the central stories that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are trying to advance about the United States, because this new report finds that a lot of these jobs are concentrated in rural and GOP areas in the Rust Belt. It really undermines the entire narrative by Donald Trump and his running mate. Also, when Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance are trying to undermine these policies, it could have a massive negative impact on our economy. That's our climate change update for the day. Let's get back to the video. Here's Levon, an ex-Trump voter who goes, look, this guy is a threat to democracy. Levon's from Florida. By the way, Florida is now within the margin of error. Vice President Kamala Harris may pull off an upset in Florida. Play this clip.
I was born in Cuba, so I know from experience what authoritarian regimes look like. So to have someone that sits along the lines of that same policy, I just can't support that. And my name is Levi, state of Florida. So I was a former Trump voter during the 2016 election. I'm ex-military. I took an oath to defend the Constitution against some enemies, foreign and domestic. I did not take an oath of the man in the Oval Office. I also have a daughter, and I come from a family where the majority of these members are women. The way that he talks in regards to women, the things that he's been accused of, the rape charge that he was found guilty in a civil court, just does not sit well with me. Like I said, I'm a conservative. I remove myself from the Republican Party because I can no longer be associated with those people when they think that that's okay to talk back down on women. He's a threat to national security. He's a threat to democracy. He's a threat to everything that the American people hold dear. And I was born in a communist country. I was born in Cuba, so I know from experience what authoritarian regimes look like. So to have someone that sits along the lines of that same policy, I just can't support that. I will definitely be supporting Kamala Harris. I met her personally. I sat in the Armed Forces Appreciations Committee, which she was a part of at one point. And you know, I used to bump heads with her because she would deny things that I was trying to fight for. But I never disrespected her. I knew that she had her heart in the right place. She's incredibly talented. She's a force to be reckoned with.
Meet Linda, a former Trump voter. And she says, with Donald Trump continuing to make fun of John McCain, I can't support this guy anymore. Here, play this clip.
I did vote for President Trump the first time. And no matter what comes out in all these litigations, I wouldn't ever vote for him again. Hi, I'm Linda. I live in Illinois, and I'm a former Trump voter. I can tell you that I'm a medical professional. In fact, I hold a doctorate. And there were like 4 things that really upset me during the COVID epidemic. He endorsed the hydroxychloroquine, which has been proven to be ineffective to the public. And then he suggested ingesting bleach. And I remember the medical professionals on the stage just swallowing, trying to figure out how they're going to get out of that one. I did watch the entire footage of January 6th. I also watched the aftermath when they were actually calling up witnesses to see what happened. I watched the people that were injured and the horrible things that I saw. I felt strongly I could never vote for him again. I think he incited the riot. I think he was the instigator of it. And I can't believe that he's going to pardon any of those people who are currently serving time for getting involved. When he made fun of John McCain and made fun of people who were in war zones that ended up being captured, and he said they were suckers and losers. So I really think that the man is incapable of leading a country. He will never be a good role model. I did vote for President Trump the first time. And no matter what comes out in all these litigations, I wouldn't ever vote for him again.
Meet Andrew, an ex-Trump voter. Here's what he has to say. Play this clip.
The first man I ever voted for president pretty much let me down. My friends and family don't see it. They think that he's the greatest thing that ever walked the planet since Jesus Christ, and he ain't. My name is Andrew Allen. I'm from Bradford, Tennessee. I voted for Donald Trump in 2016. He was the first man I ever voted for in a presidential election. In the beginning, I was excited about him, but as I got to know him more, not so much, but I still supported him in the general election. Supported him for about a year. Then he started making derogatory comments about Haitians and Africans, you know, people coming from S-hole countries and such. I decided I couldn't support him anymore. I consider myself a former Republican because it's been the way he's behaved, you know, denying the election results and January 6th. It was so much that I wasn't sure if I could maintain my identity as a Republican or not. But the first man I ever voted for president pretty much let me down. My friends and family don't see it. They think that he's the greatest thing that ever walked the planet since Jesus Christ, and he ain't. It disappoints me that they can't see it. That's my story.
We here at the MeidasTouch Network prepared this video as well, showing you, just take a look at their own words. Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Take a look at this video we created at the MeidasTouch Network. Play the clip.
We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield. And once you yield a little bit, that's just the beginning. That's the avalanche begins.
We who believe in reproductive freedom will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans, and when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into law.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. And we were able to do that when we terminated Roe v. Wade, and it's really working out well for people.
And we love our country. We love our country.
We are a failing nation.
As I told you, I wanted to share with you this direct message I got as well earlier in the day. And I've gotten tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of messages like this. This one really touched me. I had a good conversation with this guy. For now, we'll just call him R. And R wrote to me the following. He just texted me out of the blue and said, Ben, or direct messaged me out of the blue. Ben, you may not read this, but I stumbled onto your podcast months ago. Born and raised a Republican and voted for Trump twice, ashamed to admit. Never again, and even donated to the Harris campaign this time. Love your show and share it with my friends. Keep exposing the propaganda machine for what it is, and I know more like me will show up at the polls in November. Take care. And then I said, hey, tell me how you discovered the MeidasTouch Network, or what made you change your mind. And he credits the MeidasTouch Network for changing his mind. He said, look, I started tuning in because of the Trump trial. Y'all's legal info was so helpful in breaking things down for me. He goes, the insurrection was where I had enough, but also looking at outlets like Fox and how they mislead their viewers. Every time Trump opens his mouth, he lies over and over again. The nastiness, Ben, in the way he attacks has really turned me off as well. Also, of course, he should be in prison, but the attacking is one of the biggest turnoffs. He plays the victim as he sucker punches someone from behind. Not what we need. He fooled me, but he will never fool me again, is what R writes. I think that was a powerful message to share. Now, let me just finally share this with you, too, so you see the state of the modern day Republican Party. So this guy I'm about to show you, his name is Scott Presler, and he is now leading the voter outreach for Donald Trump and MAGA. And, you know, for him, and for the modern day Republican Party, it's all about like clout. And they want to be like influencers. And so this is Scott Presler, the MAGA voter outreach guy. And he's bragging about, doing all these podcast interviews. Here, play this clip.
This is Scott Presler. I just finished interviewing with Dr. Sebastian Gorka on Newsmax. And earlier today, I had the opportunity to go on the radio with Dan Bongino. I know. And earlier this week, I also went on with Jesse Kelly. And Dom Giordano weekly has me on his program.
Well, there you have it, folks. Keep me posted on your stories. Tell me your stories in the comments below. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together. Thanks for watching.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.